There is no off-season for your back-to-back AFC South champion Houston Texans. Now from inside NRG Stadium, it's Texans All Access.
Hello, Texans, and welcome to the program. It's Texans All Access on a Friday night here in the Hyundai Texans radio studio across the hall from the locker room, which is kind of empty right now. I mean, there are some players around, but kind of empty. And it's a wonderful weekend ahead. No football, which is weird. I mean, there is that other league, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on, just some elements related to all of football from that other league. But let's start here, as I am here with Drew Dougherty, Deepi, Sidhu, and today we are going to talk about some of the best ofs because the Oscars are Sunday night. And I was on Drew's podcast. We're going to highlight some of that later on in the show. You were asking me about Oscar snubs and everything. Like this year, I haven't seen too many of the movies. You know, when you have small children, you don't see too many movies. Anyway, how's it going, guys? Everybody good?
It's great. It's been a fun week, I think.
I'm ahead of the curve on
building
the
up to the
movies this
Oscars.
year. Like
You are?
Normally, I never see
Best
them.
movie you've seen this year?
Man, I liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And
Oh, I got to see that.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked. I just saw 1917. Two vastly different movies, obviously. But
They're both nominated?
I believe, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
probably.
they are.
They're both excellent.
What about you, DP?
Well, J-Lo got snubbed. The only one I saw was Hustlers. That's even on.
I
and
saw
it's not,
that one.
and it's not nominated. Neither
was
was
that
she.
a Best Picture quality type of film?
Well, no, but I
Like
just
Ocean's
good.
11 or something?
no, but I understand why people think that J-Lo probably should have been nominated. There are not a lot of women, not a lot of women filmmakers nominated.
She did a good job. I got to say, if you're going to get a nomination out of that movie, her, yes, I could see it.
Because it was a little bit of a serious role too. It wasn't just
Yeah.
I think you have to see the movie to see, but it was based on a true story.
Right.
So there was some substance, some gravitas to it. The other movie
Yeah.
I saw was Knives Out, which is more of like an artsy, sort of like a Wes Anderson.
And that's
sort of movie.
nominated?
It's not.
Oh, all right. Well,
But I thought it was really good. So
I
I need
wanna-
to see more movies that are award
but
winning.
now they can nominate 10 movies or what? It's very strange. It's people think there are too many NFL players going into the Hall of Fame and they have this gigantic class and everything. There are way too many Oscar nominee movies, I think, and you just can't keep up with it all. I get it that, we can't nominate a comedy because otherwise, whatever, so they needed more spots. No, just make it more exclusive. That's what I say.
Meet the Parents should have been nominated for an Oscar way back when.
I'll tell you, if
More
it came out today,
exclusive?
it might be
Yeah.
because the criteria are different. All right, let's get to our superlatives, though. We've done best catch, we've done best run, we've done best defensive play.
Yes.
Now, what are we up to now, DP? You're the keeper of this flame.
I'm the keeper of this list. Today is best gotta have it moment on HoustonTexans.com, which it was first called best third or fourth down moment, but then after some further reflection, we decided that what, a gotta have it moment in a game can sometimes come on first down, it can come on second down, it could come when the other team's got the ball. So let's open it up a little bit to like some of the biggest moments within games throughout the year.
Wow. All right, you guys go first because
Okay.
I'm still digesting this one.
I'm gonna do Johnny's for him since
Okay.
he's not here because I was complaining to Marc that he picked a really good answer and then in his little paragraph that he wrote he took another really good answer as this was the other one I was thinking. So I thought I can't take that because now it's like you've got a 1A and a 1B.
So you're Johnny's proxy.
And by proxy, let me tell you what Johnny's.
And he picked two. He hedged his pick. You can't
And
hedge
See,
your
I
pick.
think he took the best one too.
All right,
The
go
best
ahead.
Because he was first, but that's cool.
That's cool.
Best
Listen,
gotta have it moment.
Snooze,
Go
you
ahead.
lose.
you reply first, you get your pick.
Yeah.
All right. His nomination, DeAndre Hopkins' fourth down catch in Kansas City for the win. Deshaun Watson's fourth down completion to Hopkins to eventually beat the eventual Super Bowl champions. It was that was his pick. And then he said the other one I'd consider was the Deshaun Watson to Duke Johnson 3rd and 18 conversion in the playoff game against Buffalo in the scoring.
That was a huge.
That was the one
moment.
That was the one that I probably would have picked had Johnny not said that was his other pick.
Yesterday you talked about butterfly moments, right? Butterfly effect
Yes, the
moments.
butterfly effect.
Not quite butterfly moments, but if you don't get that and you punt, who knows what happens? Because you don't have the threat of a tie. It's a playoff game. You're going to play all night if you have to. But they get the ball back, and look, they already had that penalty on a drive that snuffed out a scoring chance for them. Who knows what happens? Your defense is getting tired. You had to make a play, and that's a huge one right there.
Okay, mine. You look back at the Falcons game, and if you don't remember much about it, you look and you see the Texans nearly scored 50 points. They won by double digits. Oh, blowout. That's easy. No problem, right?
Right.
Well, they were down 17-16 at the half, and it was an 8-point game in the fourth quarter coming out of the 2-minute warning, and the Texans have the ball. They got a 3rd and 5. Really kind of need to get a first down because the Atlanta offense had moved the ball and had scored. You got Matt Ryan.
Right.
You got to think, hey, they're capable. So what do? On 3rd and 5, to that point in Deshaun Watson's history, the Texans had kind of been conservative. If they threw it, they'd throw something short and keep it, in the middle of the field. But likely they'd run it and they'd try to kill clock and then punt, kick a field goal or whatever. So they're at the 44 of the Falcons. They line up on 3rd and 5, coming out of the 2-minute warning. And what's he do? He hits Will Fuller for a 44-yard touchdown.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That was huge.
So it was an 8-point game at that time.
Yes.
And the Texans trailed in that game at the half by a point.
At the half.
Which you forget when you think about it, because you just feel like that game was just
went back and forth a few times.
so lopsided when you look at the final score.
And so he does that, and it just blows it up. And it gives you that 2-score cushion, and they kind of get back on offense. And
so
then
you get the pick six.
Sean Gibson gets a pick 6. Yeah.
That game was a good example of, you look at it at the end of the day, and it looks like a blowout, dominating victory, 53 points on the board, and give them credit for that. However, it took time to layer that together.
Right. And think about it. It's Founders Day, so it's the first weekend in October. And what did we see in Week 16 last year? The Texans the offense leaves the field with a lead, and the defense gives it up, and the Eagles score and take. So that was kind of still in a lot of people's minds, like, oh, are they just going to play to kill the? Well, they didn't kill the clock. They killed the Falcons. I mean, they scored that touchdown to go up big.
Great call, great play.
Yeah.
Watson to Fuller. All right, so for me, look, you talked about the 3rd and 18 to Duke. If you talk about that drive, and we all know what the play is, it's probably the play of the year, but to hit Tywan Jones after the sack escape, that's a gotta-have-it moment right there. What if they sack him? What if he goes down right there? What if, again, it's similar to the Duke Johnson 3rd and 18 conversion. There you are. If you're unable to convert there and you're out of field goal range, now you got to punt back to them, and who knows what happens. Yeah. And that was such a clutch moment right there. That stands out to me as a gotta-have-it moment. I have some others, though. What do you have?
I was going to say that play fits in several different categories in this series.
Sure.
It was best catch, someone nominated. Johnny nominated for...
John broke all the rules and made the best run, even though it's a...
Because it was the run after the catch.
It's a yak.
It's the best gotta-have-it moment, and it's probably the best win all year, you could say.
Best play of the year.
Best play of the year.
It also provided the greatest of all time replay in the stadium or video board moment, because right after that happens, right after Tywan Jones goes down and the crowd's going bananas, the crowd starts to die just a little, and then they flash to Deshaun Watson going like this on the screen, and
Yeah.
just
The volume
Flexing
went back up
minds. It
again.
was awesome.
The flexing
was
pose
awesome.
is wonderful, yeah.
All right,
Great.
mine was Brennan Scarlett's 4th down stop for the win in Indy. I just remember coming off that loss at Baltimore. It was the worst loss in the Deshaun Watson era.
Right.
So the Texans have to bounce back. Like, they have to bounce back. It's a short week. It's Indianapolis. Oh, and it's Jacoby Brissett, who for some reason eludes being able to, the Texans elude being able to beat Brissett. Wherever he is, Patriots, Colts, whatever. So that game...
That's right. They had never beaten Brissett.
beaten Brissett up until this moment. So the Colts are down 20-17 late in the fourth quarter, and Brissett, he's just marching the offense down the field. They're at the Houston, or they're close to midfield. So
they're in between the 40s.
They're between the 47s. I can't remember if they were on their side or on our side. I want to say they were still on their side. But they don't convert the 3rd down. The Indy calls a timeout. 3 minutes remaining. Brissett gets back on the field. 4th and 7, and he starts scrambling after the ball snapped. And it looks like he's going to get it. But Brennan Scarlett just appears out of nowhere, tackles him just short, just for a 6-yard gain. 1 yard
by the
shot.
hair of his chinny chin chin,
Maybe
he missed
less
it.
than a yard.
Yeah, less than a yard.
Stops him, and it ends the drive for the Colts. They can't get the ball back. They can't score again. And then it ends the Colts' chances to win, to tie, and the Texans remain atop the
Kind of
AFC.
torpedoed their season, too.
It did. It killed them in the division.
That's another butterfly effect, although it was week 12, so
No, but that's
I like butterfly effects to happen
You
earlier.
lose that game after losing to Baltimore, and then you got the Patriots coming up?
Yeah.
Hello. In fact, the Texans trailed entering the fourth quarter of that game. You want to talk about things that you forget. Trailing when they trailed. They trailed entering the fourth quarter. I'll never forget opening that quarter thinking, all right, this is it. Let's go. You have to do it right now because – you don't want to lose 2 in a row after everything you've built to that point.
And it was interesting in the build-up to that game, you and John sort of jokingly but accurately referred to that game as, this is the AFC South championship game. Whoever wins this wins the AFC South. And you were right, but then you had to play another one a couple weeks later,
Tennessee.
3 weeks later,
Which
at
was
Tennessee,
also
when you were counted out. Tennessee was going to roll you.
Yeah.
You had no chance. Everyone was picking the Titans. You go out, you take a 2-touchdown lead, and you beat them pretty handily at their place.
Well, and we called it that because at the time the Titans had won 2 in a row.
Yeah.
But no one really believed that, was this really going to happen?
I thought it was like 4 in a row.
No, but they did leading into that Texans-Tennessee game. But when you played the Colts, it was on a Thursday, so the Titans had yet to take the field. And then you had the next week. And then maybe it was just one. Maybe they just had one win. They had a bye somewhere in there.
Well, because you remember, Texans beat the Colts, and then the next week, Colts host the Titans, and they have all these special teams eruptions that just sink them, and the Titans win that game and get some more momentum.
And it actually was a pretty close game going into the fourth quarter. So there you have it. All right, so you have yours. I was going to pick the Scarlet one as well. So I went to the Taiwan Jones because it can fit any occasion, okay? It's an accessory. It's the little black dress of plays of the year.
That's exactly what it is. You can wear it for so many occasions.
I knew she would love
That's a great reference.
I mean,
should I put that in my write-up?
Yeah, I think so. This is the little black dress. It goes with everything, okay? It's khaki. It's khakis for a guy. Okay, couple of minutes left in this segment now. What else do we have coming up this weekend?
So this weekend, on Saturday, we'll unveil the best touchdown of 2019. And then on Sunday, leading up to the Oscars, the best regular season win. Ooh. Which, when you think about it, we all had different answers for that game.
Yeah.
We all had different answers for that game. And I could make an argument for each one of those wins.
You know, it's funny because you could say the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Titans up there. But the Titans and Tampa Bay, I kind of look at those 2 weeks as one thing. That you were on the road back-to-back with your season on the line, and you took care of business, all right, to get to the postseason. And I was on the air Friday morning with Cecil and Wade. I say Friday because I never know when people are listening anymore with podcasting or whatever, and some of this is on YouTube. And who knows where this is being seen and ingested by the viewing and listening public. But I was talking about the fact that you forget those moments sometimes. The way the season ended, yes, very disappointing, but you forget everything it took to get there. And this team, they're in the playoffs all the time now. You know, I remember when it was really hard to get to 500. Getting to 500 for the first time, we felt like having a parade in 2007. Oh, 500, thank goodness. And then the next year you get a 500. Then you finally get a winning season. Look, going to the playoffs a lot is great, fine with me. I want to see more, and need to see more. But this is really cool to be getting into the postseason every year.
And those two teams that you beat in that two-step there that you mentioned, they were both piping hot. They each won 4 games in a row coming into that game, and you ended a pair of 4-game win streaks in consecutive weeks.
And Jameis Winston was putting up some numbers when we played Tampa Bay.
And then he put up some picks. Awesome.
Thankfully, yes.
Why? Where are you leaning with the game of the year?
Oh, for me, it was the Chiefs. I mean, at the Chiefs when you beat them. And, you know, I think.
Does it feel weird that you lost to the playoffs, yet you focus on that game? I don't think you can ever take away from, hey, you're on the road in the regular season, you won a big game at Arrowhead. That's awesome.
Even with a limited Patrick Mahomes, I think he's still better than 90% of the quarterbacks in the league, and you were able to you withstood some body blows. I mean, you went down 17-3, and you still come back and
Isn't that incredible?
You suffocated them in the second half. I mean, you made them punt twice in the fourth quarter. So yeah, it was weird. So they had that 17-3 advantage in the first quarter of that first game, and then through the next 4 quarters, so the last 3 quarters of the win and the first quarter of the loss, you outscored them something like 48-7 or something like that, and then they poured the gasoline on second, third, fourth of the playoff.
They only had 1 possession in the third quarter as well, right? I think that was a big key to winning that game, was keeping
Mahomes,
in
the third quarter?
Yeah.
Mahomes and the offense off the field.
Basically, I think they had a little bit.
It was like
they 2 in the fourth. They scored in the third to take a lead, and then
there was a big chunk of time where it seemed like the Texans were just on the field, and Casey just could
dominated
not. Their offense could not get back out there.
And Jacob Martin, who had a good year, okay, and I'm eager to see more. And I'm not saying he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year or anything, but I think this guy can certainly help. He made a big play where he knocked the arm of Mahomes on that third down when the Chiefs had the ball in the middle of the quarter. And look, if Mahomes, I don't know where that ball's going. Mahomes might have been able to make a big play that resulted in a first down, and butterfly effect, there you go. But Martin knocked his arm, and the ball's flight, drove it into the ground. So I just think you have to look at things like that. Guys making plays, little plays here and there add up to big things sometimes. So that's pretty cool. All right, next up, rules in the NFL. Deepi was at the Pro Bowl. They experimented with some rules. And XFL, they have some rule differences. Don't forget that the NFL adopted the red flag challenge rule from the USFL. So anything's possible. Let's discuss on Texans Radio. Keeping you company on a Friday night. Sounded like I was about to start singing there, but I'm not. Drew
Sound
Dougherty.
like the start to a sitcom, like an 80s sitcom.
Keeping you company, Texans All Access. Did it? All right, never mind. Back when the Fox Network was starting out with The Simpsons and what else?
Tracy Ullman.
Married with Children.
21
Tracy
Jump Street.
Ullman, really?
Oh, yeah. 21 Jump Street.
She had a show on HBO for a while.
I owned 4 seasons of 21 Jump Street on DVD. I love that show. It was a great show.
And it was a movie with Jonah Hill.
And that was funny, too.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Okay, now Drew Dougherty's with us, Marc Vandermeer with you, and you had me on your Dozen Questions
Drew's
podcast.
Dozen, yeah, podcast.
We're going to have a little bit of that in the next segment, but let's do a little bit of this right now. We talked about rules discussions in the NFL, and by discussions, I mean we will discuss them. I assume, well, they always talk about rules at the owners' meetings and in these off-season meetings.
There's always a tweak.
Always a tweak or two, and I know pass interference is going to be a big thing. I don't want to open up that can right now. I don't know what they're going to do. Of course, this is something we're going to talk about a lot this offseason because mixed reviews, a lot of bad reviews on the way.
Well, yeah, because they made all these changes last year, and then they didn't enforce them. And the Texans got hosed.
A couple of times.
They lose the game anyways, but they got hosed in Baltimore on a clear pass interference.
Yeah, you reviewed it, you saw it, you didn't call it.
The officials clearly stuck their head in the sand and said, "We're not calling this. You can enact it, but we're not going to call it."
Right,
and that's
unless it's ridiculous, like the one that happened against the Saints the year before in the NFC Championship game. That would have been called because they did.
I don't know, man.
They did turn a few no calls into calls, but not nearly as many as they could have.
I mean, getting tackled as the ball is. Before that seems a pretty
clear.
No,
on Hopkins, I agree. That was pass interference.
Anyhow.
And Bill O'Brien threw a flag on one against Kansas City, didn't get it on a pick play, but he got a later one.
Right, like a makeup call.
Yeah, latter day call. He got a later call because I think he brought attention to it. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's do this now.
And for the record, I'm not saying the Texans lost because of that one.
No, of course not. But that would have helped, I
Sure.
mean, butterfly effect like
thing.
we always talk about. We might do a whole show called The Butterfly Effect. Okay, Drew, XFL has some rule changes, some rules differences, and the Pro Bowl experimented a bit as well. The Pro Bowl had that. Let's start there. We'll get to the XFL in a second. What are your feelings on onside kick? You wipe that out, okay? And instead, late in the game, you're trailing, you score a touchdown, you want the ball back, you can elect to take it 4th and 15 at your 25 to try to convert. If you miss, well, they get the ball in your territory. If you make it, you keep possession. Do you like or dislike that?
I'm cool with that in the Pro Bowl. I still like the
in other words, you're not cool with that.
Right. And I think you should be able to kind of somehow tweak the kickoff rules in the regular season. If it's under 3 minutes remaining in
then what
game,
do you do? What do you want to see happen there?
Maybe you can go. I mean, you don't have to have 2 guys outside the numbers and 2 guys in between.
Oh, I see.
Like you can do that. Stack 10 guys
on one side.
I think that's fun, but there's probably too many safety concerns, et cetera, et cetera. But I like the traditional onside kick rule, not rules, but the formations you could wind up seeing because it's still going to be really tough to convert that.
Yeah.
But let's give it a chance. I think it's fun to see and fun to reward teams that are able to recover an onside kick. Now it's nearly impossible.
I'd rather see that.
What I'm saying or what the...
Yeah, what you're saying, I'd rather see that than this 4th and 15. This 4th and 15, although exciting for the fans, and maybe that's bottom line why they're going to do it.
Chiefs could go 16-0 if you enact that.
Well, you really could. They really could because let's say you have a 2-touchdown lead on the Chiefs in the 4th quarter, right? And they're roaring back.
Right.
And they have this drive, bang, 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 drive down the field, they score. Now they're going to take it 4th and 15 at their 25. Your defense is gassed. Mahomes, he just hit a 3rd and 15 for a bazillion yards to Tyreek Hill to really uncork a rally in that game in the Super Bowl. So 4th and 15 to certain guys, I'm not saying it's a high percentage play, but, you see a Mahomes back there, you see Lamar Jackson, you see Deshaun Watson back there, and you're thinking, oh, they're going to convert this.
Right.
So I just think it's too much of a reward, for lack of a better word, for the trailing team.
Yeah.
Make them earn it on that onside kick. I don't know what's fair, 4th and 20, 4th and 25. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. But, and I agree, the onside kick has become such a low percentage play. I just want to see them do something else. Okay, XFL will have no extra points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you heard about this one?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right, so no extra points. After touchdowns, teams can try for a single point by running it in somehow from the 2-yard line, 2 points from the 5, or 3 points from the 10. Now, obviously, the NFL is the 2-point conversion from the 2.
Right.
And there was discussion about, would you go to the 1-yard line,
Mm-hmm.
when they were talking about all this stuff a few years ago. 1-yard line would be, okay, we're going for 2 an awful lot. But let me ask you this. Would you be in favor of a 3-point conversion somehow from some distance in the National Football League?
Again, I think this is cool, but it's cool for the XFL. I don't want to change too much about.
Yeah.
There are going to be some changes that come from what the XFL is doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to make the NFL better. I do believe that. But for right now, I like chocolate ice cream, and I like vanilla ice cream as well, and I like strawberry ice cream, and this is strawberry ice cream right now. Let's keep chocolate or vanilla, and I think it's fun to see, but I don't want to change too much because it goes back to that 4th and 15 idea. You're rewarding maybe 2. I don't know.
From the 10, it's too close.
It's more scoring.
In the NFL,
yeah.
You're down 9, and you score, and now I have a chance at a 3-point conversion from the 10. And I got Pat Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. Forget it. I don't think it's a fair thing.
I don't think the NFL is boring.
I agree.
I think obviously always try to improve. There's always something that's a little bit broken, needs a little bit fixing, but I don't think it needs that much fixing.
Okay, 2 forward passes on the same play as long as one of them is behind the line of scrimmage. You like that?
That's cool. That's cool for the XFL.
I think it's cool for them. It's terrible for the NFL. I mean, come on, play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Now, this is interesting in overtime. Now, in the NFL,
I love this. I would take this. What you're about to say, I would take this.
This is better than college.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Absolutely.
I think the college overtime, first of all, the stats should not
ponderous.
count.
Yeah.
It should not count. And the scores are ridiculous. It should be Aggies won by a score. It was tied 30-30 in regulation or something.
Right.
You have to be able to say what the score in regulation was and that you won the overtime. Just like they won it on penalty kicks 4-1 or whatever.
This is what it is. It's penalty kicks, but far more interesting, far more fascinating.
Here's what they have going on. As in soccer or hockey, this is the Chronicle writing this, each team will have 5 tries to score from the opponent's 5-yard line. And I guess that's you take one, I take one. It's like penalty kicks.
I love it.
Okay? So you get a chance, I get it. If you don't make it, now I go, I make it. Each successful try is worth 2 points. Overtime ends when one team has an insurmountable lead. That's not bad.
That's a great idea. Sign me up for that, and let's bring that to the NFL. I'm cool with it.
Instead of overtime.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's totally fair. Okay, now, some teams might say, well, I'm a defensive team.
Okay,
well, play
stop them on defense.
Yeah, play defense on the 5. It's from the 5-yard line. We're not giving it to them at the 1-foot line.
No, I love
the 5-yard line, everything's in play on both sides of the football. Right? So what's the problem with that? I think it's a great idea. And in the NFL, by the way, I'm done with extra possession, whatever. I would rather go back to the old way. If we're not going to do something like this, something really, extravagant.
Drastic, yeah.
I would say go back to the old way. I love the old way of being able to say you flip the coin, you play defense. If they happen to score with a field goal, it's over. It's sudden death. You played 60 minutes of football. If you can't settle it then, what are you doing?
So that's okay. The first game is Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
The team here, they're playing on Saturday. Okay.
Right.
The owners' meeting is in about a month and a half.
Yeah, late
right?
March. Always late March. Yeah.
So
Florida.
There's going to be a good reservoir of games that they've been able to see by that point. I wonder what, if any, rules from the XFL get adopted or talked about or discussed in that owners meeting.
I think we can do our own math here and say what would have any chance at all.
I don't think the overtime would have a chance. I love it. I wish it would, but they're not going to do that.
Maybe eventually. They're going to have to see it play out for a long time, and they're not going to want to say, oh, we just stole this immediately. It's going to be so obvious, right? They have a 1 foot in for receivers, which I used to say the NFL should have, but now, now that I've been in this league for so long, you have to respect the game, and the game is 2 feet in.
Yeah.
Okay, so get them
It sort of devalue what you see DeAndre Hopkins do.
Yeah. I'll tell you one rule that I used to say, well, why did they ever enforce that? Which was the defender pushes the receiver out of bounds before his feet came down. In the old days, you could say it's a judgment call. Officials could say he would have come down in bounds. You're not allowed to push him out of bounds while he's in the air trying to make a catch. That rule has actually worked out pretty well because I think right now the fewer judgment calls, the better. And that would be totally unreviewable.
I think the 1 foot in that the XFL is going to have, I think they kind of need to do that also out of necessity because the quality of players not what the NFL has. So it's tougher to make that 2 foot.
Exactly.
Keep the 2 feet in bounds.
Exactly.
So there's more guys that can actually make the 1 footed catch. So
Exactly. No, that's a really good point. Okay, Drew, thanks a lot.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.